Okay, this is the information that we'll be using at the October 24th video conference, and we will begin the conference. Actually, you're going to begin and be prepared by doing a reflection over your first quarter of the year here. And on this slide are the things I want you to reflect over, and then be prepared to have them typed up to where you can give your responses to these questions during the video conference. And this is how we will start the conference. Start with 3 things that went really well during this first quarter, and give some details about what they were. Give us 2 things that you learned about your students after school started. So after you have done your get to know students things and you're just rolling along, all of a sudden an aha moment showed up and you learned something about students in general or student specific. So give that to us. And then 1 thing you will never do again. So be prepared to answer those questions. We are going to spend some time talking about motivating students during the video conference. I'm going to review a few things here with you to get to what we want to talk about. Of course, motivation, that's the big key of what we're trying to do in class every day. It's motivate our students to do things. And it depends on a couple of things. You know, one, is it something that you've put out in front of them that is achievable, something that they can actually do? And then the second thing is it important to me being the student? Is it something that I want to do? So those are the things that we already know. We have talked about the key motivating things for CTE students. 1, personalized learning environment, and we've talked about that in depth this summer, but there are a few things we want to look at. Setting high expectations, and then actively engaging students in learning. Personalized learning environment, we did cover a lot. We've covered and talked about it in a variety of different ways. Now, getting to know students, we spent time on that. One-to-one contact, personal connections, creating networks and social groups to help in learning and teaching. The one we want to look at during this during this video conference is, do you teach, model, and assess communication and collaboration as a 21st century skill? So I want you to, kind of like the first slide, is look at that, look at what you are teaching, and are you in any way, shape, or form, do you model it? Communication and collaboration? Do you assess it? Do you teach it? You know, be ready to respond to that. Are you doing any of those or all of those within your lessons that you're doing? And then the other 2 things we've talked about already, cooperative assignments, and then personalized learning for individuals and help for individuals. Setting high expectations, the main thing here, and we've talked a little bit about this, is, you know, are you the cheerleader? Are you the advocate, the coach for your students? Are you the one out there that's, yeah, you can do it, you can make it just a little bit more, give us a little more effort here, you know? Are you that person for your student? I mean, and how do you do that? So we may talk about that just a little bit at the video conference, so kind of think about those things. You know, what do you do to be their coach, their cheerleader, and those type things. And then actively engaging students, this is what you do best. I mean, you do the real world stuff. That's what your classes are all about. You do the create, predict, and those type things to incentivize your students to do better. You know, you do work with literacy. You work with different skills, and for them to find information and truth about what they're supposed to be working with and the materials and whatever they're working with. You know, and then hopefully you're helping them hypothesize, analyze, and problem solve as they work through the different things that they have to do within your class. The other part of this is that we want to look at is rewards, recognitions, and then the incentives to help them do things. This one has kind of two parts, and so you guys will divide yourself into two groups. For those of you who have worked as an employer and hired employees and ran employees, I want you to be prepared to tell us, what did you do to motivate your employees? Besides the stick of, I'm giving you a paycheck and you have a job, how did you get them motivated to do more than just show up for the job and put in their time? Talk about some of those things. Be prepared to share with the entire group what you did as an employer to motivate your employees. And then those of you that weren't employers but work for an employer, be prepared to either use those ideas that they give or those that you have seen on the workplace. How can I take those ideas and apply them to my classroom? What can I do to take those things that would work in the workplace and put them in the classroom and motivate my students there? Now on this slide we have some motivational things, and what I want you to do is kind of look at these, look at things that you're doing. I'm not overly thrilled with any of these that are on this slide here, but every student is different as to what motivates them to do things. I found in my little tech world that I did, like we geeks, that just little things sometimes motivated them to do a lot more. I was good at giving what I call trash awards. Just things that were used up and couldn't really be used anymore, such as we did syringe robots, so we wore syringes out. I'd paint one gold, glue it to a board that'd been finished, put a little hole in the back so it could be hung up, and I would hear back from parents that their kid loved the class and that they are inspired to go on and do other things in robotics and different things because I gave them an award. It didn't really matter what I called it. It's just that we pointed out that they did something in class that was a little bit above and beyond, that they went the extra mile on that. So what I'm wanting you to do is, what do you do in your class to reward and recognize these folks? Be prepared to answer that in some form or fashion. What do you do now, or what could you consider doing? What might you think about doing in the future as you move on to another group coming up for the next year or going into this second semester? What might be things that you could do to reward those students that do put forth effort in class and do things? So be prepared to answer that during the video conference. The last thing we want to talk about during the video conference is exerting effective effort. Putting effort into what we do. Not going back to the beginning there, not just showing up and putting in your time, but putting effort and doing those things for the job itself. I'm going to take you back a little bit. This summer we showed you a video called the Entitlement Creed, where we looked at what employers were wanting effort put into the job to make it worthwhile for them, to make good employees. Well, what we're looking at is some way that we can judge or look at those efforts, and how do we teach them, how do we grade them. So within the little small packet of information that you are getting, you have a rubric for grading effort. What I want you to do is to take that rubric and print it out, or type on it and then print it out, but change it and make it work for your class. How do I change this and make this to where I can grade effort for whatever my students are doing or for whatever project they're working on? So take the time to do that and make that work for you and have that there, so where, once again, I'm going to go round and round robin, and I want you to just kind of share with everybody else how you could use it in your class and how you changed it to make it work for what you're going to be doing in your class. I'm also sending you this link, so you'll get the PowerPoints here, but this link here is a short little video. Watch it, see whether you think it would work in your class to help motivate students, give them a reason to have effort in what they're doing, to think about it. So take a look at it and see what you think, and I'll open the floor up for comments about that as to whether that's something that could be used or should be used in the future. That's what we're doing. The last thing that we will talk about at the video conference, coaching visits. On the screen here I have a list of those coaches. You should recognize somebody on this list. So by now you should have either heard from or had a coaching visit. So we would like to kind of end our video conference with, give us a little feedback about your coaching visits. You know, what happened? How did it go? Was it good? Did you get good feedback? Was it a good positive experience for you? You know, and we just want to know a little feedback on that. So that will be the last thing that we will talk about in the video conference. So I look forward to seeing you online on the 24th, and you will be getting your video link. You will be getting the slides, and I look forward to your conversation. Thanks. Bye.